Did Hunter Biden sell access to Joe Biden's classified documents that were on the floor in his garage? Well, that's something that James Comer thinks might have actually happened. So does Ron Johnson. So does Miranda Devine and many others. And in fact, it comes from an email that Hunter Biden himself drafted back in April 2014. It's an email that goes over to Devin Archer. And we're going to read through it because what Miranda Devine says is that this email, this is not Hunter Biden's own thought. Okay. He didn't get this out of his deep treasure trove of experience dealing with these issues. No, the story goes, got it from the classified documents. All of these bullet points. It's all intelligent. Did it come from intelligence? Because it certainly didn't come from Hunter Biden's mind. We're going to go through the email in a minute, but let's let James Comer explain it to us so that we can get our bearings straight on this one. Comer appeared on with Hannity. Actually, I think he's talking about George S. Burgess here.
The chairman asked the art gallery owner.
All right, we're going to come back to that clip because that's where he's talking about the art gallery. Instead, let's turn our attention right over to the email so we can see what is going on in this email. That was a meme. This is the email. All right, as you can see, this email from Robert Biden, which is Hunter, at an iCloud address, April 12th, 2014 to Devin Archer. Devin Archer was his business partner at Rosemont Seneca. You see the email comes from Hunter's account. Look at his profile picture. Very close-up face of Hunter. You see that there. All right. So here's what he says to his business partner, Devin Archer. Now, what's curious about this email is, again, Hunter presumably doesn't know much about all of this stuff. So where did he get it from? Here's what Hunter said. He said, all right, Devin, guess what, buddy? I have to go to Houston with Bo tomorrow for a checkup. After doing some research, like in the garage, and some further thoughts on the organization going forward. Here's what he says. Poroshenko appears likely to be the next president. Determining our team's relationship with him is important. He is credible with the West and by all accounts a true reformer by UK standards. That's a pretty intelligent statement. Where did he get that from? Some sort of decentralization will likely occur in the East. If it doesn't, the Russians will continue to escalate their destabilization program. Wrong use of the word there. And which could lead to a full-scale takeover of the eastern region most critically Donetsk. The strategic value is to create a land bridge for the Russians to Crimea. Where the hell did Hunter Biden know all this stuff? Where did he figure this out? He's a crackhead who hangs out with prostitutes all the time, who got thrown out of the Navy or whatever. That won't directly affect Burisma holdings, but it will limit future UK exploration and the utilization of opportunities in particular. It will also result in further destabilization of the UK nationally or for whatever government is in power. And the US will respond with even stronger sanctions. Those sanctions will threaten the tenuous support of the EU, which does not have the political will to encourage steep energy price increases. This is weird. The IMF loan guarantees will allow the UK to weather the economic impact, but required reforms to the UK public subsidies will weaken the new president. There will be enormous pressure on Burisma to lower prices for the national good. Even if the company takes a hit in profits, it would seem imprudent to raise prices to convert with Russian price gouging, probably to compete. Burisma has an opportunity to play the hero and ignore the artificial market value. He says Kazakhstan could play a pivotal role in providing gas at lower rates, and they could shut down 60% of their energy supply. Where does Hunter Biden get all this information, man? Man, he's like really smart. Remember Joe Biden said he's like the smartest guy he knows? Man, it must be because he can just like type out like 22 bullet points. Weird. But when you go through all of the remaining bullet points, he says on 12, our guy needs to set himself up as the anti-victor. The best way to weather the storm, by the way, between now and elections is to throw all in with the chocolate king. Who the heck is that? Even if he loses, Poroshenko is a safe ally that could protect him up from the vultures. Additionally, you, me, and Alex should reconnect with the boxer and help him gain his support of our guy. Don't know what that means. We fast forward down to 18. He says, the announcement of my guy's upcoming travel would be characterized as part of our advice and thinking. We need to temper expectations regarding our visits. He says the contract should begin now, not after the upcoming visit of my guy. That should include a retainer in the range of $25,000 with additional fees when it's more in depth. Last action item, bullet point, is 22 down here at the bottom. Buy a cell phone from a 7-Eleven or a CVS tomorrow, and I'll do the same. Forgot to say use cash, don't put it on your company card. But presumably Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's co-conspirator, knew that. So very interesting email. Now, why? How does Hunter know all this stuff? Did he go on Wikipedia? Is this all on Wikipedia? I don't know. It's very curious. I mean, he's, a smart guy, evidently. Joe Biden says he's the smartest guy in the whole world. And so that's very curious. Now, other people have a different take on what this means and what to draw from that email. One of those individuals happens to be Miranda Devine. Miranda Devine has written books on Hunter Biden, has been following this stuff for years, an absolute excellent follow on Twitter and elsewhere if you're not already doing so. Miranda explains the email that Hunter Biden sent over to Devin Archer and the fact that they went to go get burner phones to cover it all up.
So you've read the entire laptop, you wrote a book about it, you clearly remember this document. Tell us how different this email, from everything else you saw on the laptop.
Hi, Tucker. Look, this email is like nothing else that Hunter has written in the entire 9 years covered by the laptop. It is extremely long, 1,300 words.
We just read it.
It's very detailed, very well informed,
Yep.
well written. It reads like an official document, even it reads like a classified document. There's
Doesn't it?
information in there that's not
It
readily
does.
available. He sounds very knowledgeable and very breezy about it. And you have to remember that this is at a time, a month before he joined the Burisma board. He needed money desperately, and to feed his drug habit, and they were going to pay him $83,000 a month to do not very much. And obviously they were paying for...
It's expensive to get access to classified materials. I mean, that's a lot, right? $83,000 a month. It's $1 million a year. You got to deliver for that. You don't have to do any work. All you need is a garage door opener. Just click. There it is. Transfer the money. Easy 83 grand.
His proximity to his father, and he was showing, as he never did again, his value to them. And of course, having access to classified information would make his price much higher. So that's sort of the motive for it. The other thing about it is that it's very easy, I think, for the special counsel, Robert Hur, to immediately just clear up whether or not Hunter had access to classified information by just cross-matching that email and other information on the laptop with the information in those classified documents that have been discovered at 5 different locations in Joe Biden's home and his office at the University of Pennsylvania. It should be pretty clear. We know a bare minimum about those classified documents, but what we do know is that they pertained to, at least the first tranche, to Ukraine, to the United Kingdom, and to Iran. Now, this particular email talks about Ukraine and the United Kingdom.
Interesting.
So it's kind of a guess at this point. But
is there something else going on right now? Like, is there something happening in the world that would reopen an old kind of an issue that you dealt with in 2014 that involved Ukraine and involved energy, involved money and the Bidens and Hunter and all that stuff? Is there anything else happening right now that might cause the Biden crime family to go, do you remember the name of that lawyer dude who's a great mover, big biceps? He's got all those boxes. What was his name? Oh yeah. Can you get him on the phone again? Yeah. Since the Republicans just took over that House Intelligence Committee, we might want to get him on the line.
it's a pretty obvious connection, and I think this is a perfect synergy for the special counsel looking into Joe Biden to connect with the US attorney in Delaware who's investigating Hunter Biden.
Well, yeah, I mean, they tried to send Mike Flynn, the national security advisor, to prison for talking about sanctions. If you're a foreign country, U.S. sanctions are an extremely powerful tool. They can undo your economy. So you want to know what the trigger is for sanctions, correct? So that information, this will trigger sanctions. Is it keep speaking of important classified information? Is there anything more important than that other than war plans?
No.
Well, and this was a week before Joe Biden went to Ukraine, armed with millions of dollars in energy aid for the Ukrainian energy industry. And Hunter was angling to get on the board of a Ukrainian energy company. So,
Weird, with no experience in any of that stuff. Wonder why that might be. Well, let's turn our attention over to another senator. His name is Ron Johnson. He says, look, Hunter, for whatever reason, definitely had access to Ukrainian information. I mean, you saw it in the email. Where did he get that analysis? It looks like it came from an intelligence report. The Burisma website should talk about how Burisma is the largest independent organization. We can actually be of real value here. We can bring U.S. expertise to the company. He's talking about all of these different suppliers. There's going to be a strangle on EU supplies from Russia to the EU. He says, which the EU will never accept. He calls them the P word. Wow, look at this. He's getting a little vulgar here. He called Europe a bunch of peas, which, he says there is no immediate supplier solution to replace Russia. I think that's probably still true. Even if Burisma increased their output, the pipelines across the UK are the key to this, which is why they got blown up. If the Ukrainians shut down the pipeline, they also shut down 60% of their energy supply and put a strangle on EU supplies from Russia, which the EU will never accept. Why? Because they are peas. Look at that. Yeah. Well, that is Hunter Biden. But where did he get all that information? What does he know about Kazakhstan? What does he know about all of these different countries over there? Miranda says not much. So does Ron Johnson. He confirms that this all feels a little bit weird, and the Senate is going to be digging in accordingly.
What's very interesting is the news reports now are highlighting an email that Hunter wrote to Devin Archer on April 13th, 2014. It reads, from my standpoint, I've traveled overseas, and you get what they call scene setters from the State Department. It reads like one of those scene setters.
Yeah.
Highly detailed information in terms of Ukraine. This is when Devin Archer and Hunter Biden were trying to get on the board of Burisma and get their $3-4 million worth of payday, trying to prove their worth. But April 13th, 3 days later, Vice President Biden meets with Devin Archer in the White House.
Wow.
Then President Biden goes to Ukraine, and he's listed as the face of the Biden administration to Ukraine. April 22nd, Devin Archer joins the board of Burisma. Sometime soon after that, Hunter Biden joins the board. So this is all happening in April. It's obvious that Hunter Biden is selling access to information. And does that have anything to do with some of the classified documents that Vice President Biden was squirreling away in his residence? I don't know, but it looks incredibly suspicious. But we're starting to stitch together this sordid story of sleaze and corruption.
Yikes. So actually selling information that is obtained from classified documents that Joe Biden had. I think it looks like that exactly. And by the way, we've gone through a lot of the Hunter Biden documents on this laptop, all right? MarcoPoloUSA.org has the whole stinking laptop in a report called the Hunter Biden Laptop Report. You can take a look at it there. But that's not where they're just ending. Okay, there's a big question about whether Hunter Biden is still doing this stuff and laundering all of that money through his so-called art gallery at the Georges Burgess Gallery. Very beautiful. Now, if you've seen any of these paintings, it looks mostly like COVID virus particles and moldy milk that has been left in the sink of a college dorm room for about 13 years. It's pretty horrific and disgusting. But they're going for like $250,000, some of them $500,000, because it's not about the art. It's about access and influence. We're going to go through this investigation. James Comer is explaining the letter that he sent over to Georges Burgess, Hunter Biden, the artist, his gallery owner. We're going to go through it in detail in a minute, right after we talk about being healthy, because you're going to want to be fortified. Anytime we talk about Hunter Biden, you want to make sure you're healthy and your body's fortified so that you don't come down with an STD. Here is what I want to share with you from our friends over at Field of Greens, because this is a great organization and they're going to help you be healthy. And of course, as you know, we just got done with the pandemic. We just got done with the holidays. And we'd all like to lose a little extra weight out there. You've probably seen all the ads. You've talked about all the fad diets, all the different tricks and things out there. But it doesn't work. You know what probably would, though? eating right, eating healthy, including 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. You do that, and I bet the weight just starts to fall right off. But I understand, vegetables, some people aren't a fan, and fruit can be kind of a pain. A lot of time to prepare for all of that. Don't worry about it. Guess what? Field of Greens. Science-backed formula, specific fruits and vegetables you won't find in any other product. As you know, proper nutrition requires rebooting your metabolism so you can burn calories faster, be healthier, lose weight. And the Field of Greens is the only brand backed by a better health promise. Look, you'll feel healthier, you'll look great, but the only proof you'll need is when you go to your doctor next time and he says, "You look amazing. What are you doing? Keep it up." So you can get started today. You can go over to fieldofgreens.com. Use code Robert. Fieldofgreens.com, code Robert. You'll save 15% off your first order. You can get Field of Greens. You can get all sorts of other superfoods, and you'll just feel bursting with health and green energy and vibrant if you go to fieldofgreens.com. Don't forget to use code Robert. All right. And so now let's go over to James Comer. Comer is investigating Hunter Biden. One of the ways that Hunter Biden is getting money these days is by selling COVID paintings that often look like virus particles that may have infected the whole planet. But Comer is going to dive into this. He sent a letter over to George S. Burgess. We're going to read through it and see what he's demanding.
But putting that aside, or the paint by owners, that's why we've asked the art gallery owner in New York, where he's been doing business, to come to the oversight committee and sit down for a transcribed interview. We believe this is very important knowledge that we need in our influence peddling investigation. We're just trying to trace the money, Sean, and we know that money was coming from adversaries in Russia, Ukraine, and China into various accounts that were funding money for Hunter in the consulting capacity. We don't know what he was consulting. We believe that they were not paying him this money just out of the kindness of their heart. We believe they were getting something in return.
Obviously.
That's why we want to know about the documents. Who had access to those documents? We're learning in our investigation that Hunter played a role in determining who actually would be in charge of taking the documents from the vice president's office to the first point of delivery for those documents. So this is...
Did you hear that? Hunter Biden got to decide what boxes went where? Rewind that.
Peddling investigation. We're just trying to trace the money, Sean, and we know that money was coming from adversaries in Russia, Ukraine, and China into various accounts that were funding money for Hunter in the consulting capacity. We don't know what he was consulting. We believe that they were not paying him this money just out of the kindness of their heart. We believe they were getting something in return. That's why we want to know about the documents. Who had access to those documents? We're learning in our investigation that Hunter played a role in determining who actually would be in charge of taking the documents from the vice president's office to the first point of delivery for those documents. So this is concerning. And, a lot of people that...
All right, so Hunter Biden's not the person who says, that box goes to Joe's house. That box goes to my house, right? He's not standing there on the moving car, on the moving truck, saying, put that one over there. Put that one in the white van, the one that says free candy on it. That's mine. But the person who is making those decisions, Hunter Biden got to hire. Perfect.
Want to continue to defend Joe Biden and continue to defend his family influence peddling, they'll say, well, a lot of that stuff happened. Yeah, it was bad, but it happened when Joe Biden wasn't president. This artwork happened while Joe Biden's been president. And no one with any reasonable mind would believe that Hunter Biden, who just started painting a couple of years ago, would somehow become the highest paid artist in America right now.
$250,000,
he's selling that artwork that you showed on the screen from $50,000 to apparently $250,000 per piece.
Look.
And it's going to anonymous buyers. This art gallery owner has bragged that he's the new...
Look, that's COVID, right? Isn't that a COVID version? Isn't that like an Omicron variant or something? I don't know what it is. It looks like one of those things that grows out of the ground and then you blow it and it puts all the leaves, like a dandelion, right? But this looks like it's got some COVID mixed with the universe in there as well. Pretty terrible.
main art dealer for China, that he's the link between American art world and China now. So all the signs are there that would suspect one to believe that this artwork is continuing in a pattern like the Biden Center for Diplomacy and Hunter's shady business dealings and going to anonymous sources in China.
You know, we know about what happened in Ukraine.
I think that is a cross-section of an aorta, isn't it?
Talks on his.
We're still getting blocked by the Treasury Department on the bank violations. I'm the first chairman of the Oversight Committee who's ever been denied bank violations by the Treasury Department. They say they're still trying to determine whether or not I need those bank records or not. I mean, you mentioned what happened in Ukraine with Burisma. If there was any quid pro quo pertaining to the United States and Ukraine, it was with Joe Biden on that deal
Didn't we impeach Donald Trump over a non-quid pro quo? All Donald Trump said, be responsible with taxpayer money. If we're going to help you out, don't be corrupt like.
Donald Trump was right to ask the Ukrainian president whether or not there was corruption being involved with respect to foreign aid for the United States. I hope every president would do that. With this foreign aid, which I don't like foreign aid going anywhere, but if it's going somewhere, the President of the United States better make darn sure that it's being spent where it's supposed to be spent. And here we find...
And not going back into your family's pockets. Good Lord.
Biden was using a quid pro quo saying, you need to get rid of this prosecutor who's investigating my son for corruption, or you might not get any more American tax dollars. That's bad. And we believe the same thing may be happening in China. We don't know for sure, Sean, but we're investigating. This administration is blocking us at every investigation.
They can't get any information about anything. And speaking of Hunter's paintings, okay, I'm not sure what they were showing on the screen. This is one that we found a long time ago. And shout out to Bonnie over from Locals who pulled this one up for us. But this is one of the original Hunter Biden paintings, okay? Whatever they've done, his artwork has either improved or they are, they have somebody else who is helping him with this stuff. But this was one of the originals, right? This is a Hunter Biden painting, okay? Which looks like COVID, right? That's like the COVID, moldy mildew painting. I don't know what is going on here. For $250,000? Okay, so they still haven't checked Joe Biden's Rehoboth residence, but they might want to get on that. Now, that is from Comer. We're going to go through the letter from Comer over to the George S. Burgess Gallery. Let's reset this screen here. Because Comer sent a letter over to George S. Burgess. Now, you're probably wondering, can we go look at Hunter's artwork for sale? Is it actually on the website? Can we just go take a look at it? No, you can't. Why? Because there's nothing on the website. Here it is. It's back up now. Oh, wow. All right, so check this out. So the website's back up. This is very convenient. Now, I was on this literally an hour ago, and this is the screenshot that I took an hour ago. Under maintenance, stay tuned. Okay, for inquiries, please email Burgess. And it's working now. So that an hour ago, now we actually have the website. So that's outstanding. Let's take a look and see if we can see any of Hunter Biden's paintings on this, since they just published it now, which is very curious. I wonder what changes they made, which is what I wanted to check. Our artists. Let's see if they have Hunter Biden, the artist. He was here some time ago. Okay. Hunter Biden. There's his. See, that looks like a good painting. Actually looks like something went into that. Can you click this thing? Let's see how much it's selling for. Click to view the journey home. Vanity Fair. Yeah, like some of these are pretty rough. Look at all these COVID paintings, man. What's he obsessed with COVID for? All right. Well, they put it back up. I don't know what they deleted or what they changed, but it was down earlier. They were doing updates literally earlier. I screenshotted that 2 hours ago. Point is, it is back. And now James Comer is going to be demanding some answers from Mr. George S. Burgess himself, who runs that actual website. So let's take a look at what the letter says. January 25th, 2023, from the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. This is coming from James Comer, Kentucky chairman on the new Oversight Committee. He's actually I guess he is the chairman. That's right. Jordan is judiciary. He writes, Dear Mr. Burgess, George S. Burgess Gallery in New York, New York. He writes, The Committee on Oversight and Accountability is now investigating President Joe Biden, his family's foreign and domestic influence peddling schemes. During the prior Congress, congressional Republicans wrote to you, Sir George, requesting information about your gallery's sale of artwork by the president's son, Hunter. You did not respond to these requests, but since hosted another Hunter Biden art exhibit in your Soho gallery. Isn't that amazing? So you can own an art gallery in New York and host Hunter Biden, and Congress will send you a letter demanding answers, and you don't even have to respond. Isn't that crazy, that kind of power these people have? The committee is reiterating its request for documents related to the committee's investigation, and it's requesting you appear for a transcribed interview. So I guess this is our second request, I guess, from Congress. For over a decade, they say the Biden family has profited from Joe Biden's positions as a public official. Your arrangement with Hunter raises serious ethics concerns and calls into question whether the Biden family is again selling access and influence. Despite being a novice artist, Hunter received exorbitant amounts of money selling his artwork. The buyers' identities remain unknown, and you appear to be the sole record keeper of these lucrative transactions, George. For example, you've advertised that Hunter Biden's latest artwork ranges in price anywhere between $55,000 and $225,000. Homer says it is concerning that President Biden's son is the recipient of anonymous high-dollar transactions, potentially from foreign buyers, with no accountability or oversight other than you. The American people deserve transparency regarding these details. And while you possess certain information about this investigation, we demand the following no later than February 8th. Number one, all documents and communications between you, George, and the White House. All documents and conversations between you and Hunter. All guidelines and documents and contracts and other documents executed by you and Hunter. All communications about setting prices for Hunter's COVID paintings. Any ethics guidelines that you created in order to sell these that have been sent over to the Government Ethics Committee. Documents that show who went to the opening of Hunter Biden's art shows. We want to know who purchased Hunter Biden's artwork. Ooh, that's fun. And they say, if you have any questions about this, give us a call. 202-225, so on. Additionally, please make yourself available for a transcribed interview prior to February 15th. We are the Committee on Oversight and Accountability, and we have the authority to investigate any matter at any time under House Rule 10. Thank you for your prompt cooperation with this matter. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer, Chairman of the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Woo! Man, I like what I'm seeing out of James Comer. He's going out hard, demanding answers to all of these questions. And his lawyers will say, this is all my private business. You have no right to get any of these things. Get out of here. And then they'll form an oversight committee and they'll say, well, it is related to the execution of the president's duties. You happen to be his son. And they'll try to get it, and we'll see what happens, right? We'll see if Hunter Biden and his people get a subpoena, if they reject the subpoena, if the committee decides to turn this over to the DOJ, just like the J6 committee did, and whether the DOJ does anything about it. My guess is not if it's a Democratic DOJ, but we'll see. So that's the letter over from Comer to the George S. Burgess Gallery. And of course, we will continue to cover the Hunter saga. Thank you for subscribing wherever you're watching this, and thank you for liking this video. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.